The team I spent the time with initially has now completed 2 or 3 projects completely independent of me. And when I've gone and done the quality control and checked the systems that have been in place, it's like, geez, these boys paint better than me.
Hey, welcome to the Tradies Success Podcast. On this podcast, you're going to hear real life stories from trade business owners to minimize the mistakes you're going to make, maximize profit, create more time freedom, and minimize emotional overwhelm. So hit subscribe and follow us now and enjoy the episode. Hey everyone, welcome to this very special episode of the Tradies Success Podcast. Here today with Mr. Josh Conti from Globe Painting Solutions, Denmark, WA. Thanks for joining us, man.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Man, it's been awesome getting to know you over the last couple of days. You came out for a strategy day in Byron and we dived into your business. We really went under the hood and understood where you're at and broke through some of those mindsets that we needed to get you into a better place in terms of moving forward. So I'd love to talk more about that in a little bit in the show, but let's go back and I'd love to know why you got into the trade that you did.
Yeah, I actually was originally going to do a mechanic apprenticeship and I did a few pre-apps, but I jumped in with a painting mob for a few days and just never stopped. And 4 years later, I was signed off and the opportunity came up. I wasn't 100% sure if my job was secure. And I just wanted to take back a bit of control. I wasn't being paid properly in a few things. So I thought, I'll get my contractor's license and I'll see where this goes. And before you knew it, I was just traveling everywhere. I was jumping in with teams, got an amazing amount of exposure to how other people worked in different parts of the painting industry. Hence the Globe Painting Solutions, because I was all over WA.
Yeah, right.
And now I'm here.
Awesome,
8
man.
years later.
Yeah, how cool is that? Do you remember when you first started in the trade? Like those first couple of jobs, do you have a memory of that time when you're out and it's like, whoa, this is different? And what sort of the things that you learnt about painting first up?
That's just kind of triggered one of the first memories of just me just carrying on. I was told to go and gap one side of this rendered wall and I got that all done and the tradie had taken off. So I started gapping the eave into the back edge of the fascia. Yeah, I forgot about that, but that was that was the first time I understood what a reaming was. But yeah, I had a great time. It was a very different industry because my parents had an O'Brien's glass franchise growing up.
Oh, yeah.
I got to work in with mum and dad, which was an awesome experience. But going from kind of a car-based industry to construction was night and day difference. Always a new job, different team, different product, different colours instead of a workshop. And
yeah,
I really liked that opportunity to see different things, and especially standing back at the end of a job, even though I was an apprentice and doing mostly the prep work, it's like, oh, cool, we made a huge transformation here. That's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man. So what do you say with the painting industry? What's something that you feel really proud about with your work and what you do differently to, say, someone that might paint the house themselves or a non-professional painter who, is more like a handyman but doesn't understand the actual skill of, good quality painting?
Yeah, that's maybe a little tricky to just dial in specifically, but I think the biggest attitude that's helped is just treating each house like it was my own. If I lived here, would I be proud of the work I've done? And especially as a young person, I'm going to be around for quite some time. We've signed up with Dulux and the Master Painters Association, so we provide 7-year workmanship warranty on most of our work, and we follow the guidelines to get full product warranty. And living in a small town as a young person, it's like, yeah, we have to do this properly. My team has to be trained properly because half the houses I drive past every day and I want them to look good for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So it's just that commitment to the job, the product and the customer.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what would make a good painting job? Like, what's the difference between someone that might go in and do a cheap, quick job and it's the cheap version for the client versus a high quality painting service?
It's really about the prep work, the attention to detail, following the systems, following the processes. The actual painting side doesn't take that long, but sanding things properly, filling walls, gapping, masking up, drop sheets, all of those little steps you kind of want to just smash through, they make more of an impact than the actual paint you apply at the end. Obviously, good technique, understanding the product, but at the moment, to some degree, most paints are more or less equal if you just know how to apply them properly, but there's a massive difference between shoddy prep work and someone who spent the time.
Yeah, you notice it, don't you? You see the markings in the wall, post like painting. You see like what's some of the other things that are very obvious that prep wasn't taken seriously.
Yeah, just being too eager to get straight on with the brush or the roller or the spray gun and not sanding surfaces properly so the paint can properly bind. That's a major one. My pet peeve is you'll drive around town and a lot of the new homes, the fascias are made out of this pre-primed timber. Everyone goes straight onto it and they all peel within a year or two because they haven't, although they've used a self-priming product, they haven't actually keyed it up enough. And it's just a small care factor. Just going that extra step. Yes, it will stick, but not for that long.
And I guess like someone like myself that's not educated in how to do proper prep work, if I was to get that up on my house and go, I'm just going to save some dollars and do it myself, I wouldn't know that this paint wouldn't stick to it because of those reasons. So it goes to show why people should invest in a proper professional painting service.
Definitely. And especially because it is, to some degree, especially outside, it's a sacrificial coating. A lot of people give painters a hard time and all there is to painting is this, and there's a lot of truth to that, but a job that's done properly will add not just value but longevity to your house. Like you've spent all of that money investing in this block, you want it to look for as good as possible for as long as possible with as minimal maintenance. So it's worth doing properly.
So what's some of the things you see when a house isn't painted with high quality product, and let's just say 5 years down the track compared to a really good quality job? Is it just like it loses colour? Is it start peeling? What is, like, list out a bunch of things you see as evidence of a house that's not been done right?
So you nailed it with those ones: peeling, bubbling, flaking, just not adhering properly to the surface. Even it does depend on what sort of client you've got, but a lot of new homes are, the specifications come from the builders and they're not necessarily adhering to the painting regulations or what we know to be the better way to do things. So my pet peeve is bathroom ceilings not having, at a minimum, some sort of anti-mold paint or a low sheen or some sort of enamel, just because of the moisture. You have a family, constant showers, it doesn't air out properly. Like, mold is always going to happen in a bathroom like that, and it can really set in. If you use a flat paint or a matte paint, it's going to set in, you can't get it out, and it becomes quite a fiddly, annoying job to stain block it, mold treat, and go over it with the right product. It's just easier to do it the right way. And especially mold is one of those health issues that you just don't want any mold in your house at all. If paint peels or blisters, it's typically going to be okay, but mold is just
it
where
grows.
I draw the line.
Once it starts, it grows. Eh? So you led into a really interesting topic which we can talk about, which is when something's not to specification, is specification, but it's not to standard or regulation. How do you go about having those conversations with the builder to make sure we uphold a good quality, finished product for the builder as well, right? It's not just, a lot of people I think builders just want to cut corners and stuff, but sometimes they don't know either. So how do you go about having that conversation confidently? And do you find there's lots of success, or do you see that builders just go, no, I just want it done the cheapest way possible?
Yeah, well, when I was younger and less experienced, I would just do things to my standard. And then after I'd done the thing, the builder would go, that looks different to how our other guys do it. And then I would explain, which was not the right way to go about things. You've been given a contract, you need to do it the way they've specified. So now, especially, we're starting to get back in with a few more builders. Just have the conversation up front and go, hey, just letting you know, I see this is what you've specified here, but this is my recommended approach, and I'm not really comfortable doing it this way because of this reason. Would you be happy for us to approach it this way? And then I can provide a warranty, and I can also do that at this price. Just coming in educated, because all builders are very invested in the quality of their end product. They are putting their name on it.
Yeah.
So they do want you to care just as much. And secondly, they want to know the price. So if you can come in and you're not, you're not umming and ahhing, you're just confident and you've got a solid reason and an educated price instead of just whipping something up out of thin air and just being like, that's $3,000 because I say it is.
Yeah.
We've had minimal pushback. We've never had pushback when it comes to raising the quality of a job.
How good is that?
Yeah.
So many good tips there. And I think it's interesting that I was a victim of this as well. You assume someone's going to say something so you don't say anything at all and you hope for the best. I did that all the time. Like even, oh shit, this job's going over. This is a variation. I'm just going to do it, but like hope that they're going to pay it. Yeah. And it would always leave to like either them disappointed or, they would pay it, but secretly they weren't happy about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people were happy about it and they didn't care, but it was more of this hope thing rather than having this what seemed like a difficult conversation at the time because they might say no. So it's that fear they might say no conversation stops you having the conversation, which leads to problems down the line. Spent so many years making that mistake for all different situations. So yeah, it's a great way to approach it. So thanks for sharing. So you came out to Byron. You've flown all the way across Australia to get out here.
Yeah.
Tell us about your journey, man. Like you've come out, you've spent a day with us doing like deep strategy.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the biggest benefits that you've identified, just overnight? It's only been a day since we did the full day, but what are some of the big things that you're like, I'm glad I did that because?
Well, my head is still racing. It was a lot to process, but I think the best thing was actually one of the sessions with Leon. It was, what would you call it? A table.
Business canvas.
The business canvas,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that was just brilliant. Actually visualizing the steps, the individual roles, the values, the relationships, because it's so easy, and I've become super aware of it in myself, is that I just look at a screen and I don't like screens, so I don't look at a screen enough, and then I move straight on to the next app, or I am constantly in this reactive state instead of actually, I like pen and paper. Get it out there, get the notes, change the color of the notes, and really visualize where the value comes into the business, where it goes through the business, and where I want it to go.
Yeah.
It's one of those things, recently been on a bit of a self-work journey, and, actually doing the visualizing for myself, it just clicked like, why aren't I doing this for my business? Why aren't I putting up a bit of a wall where I go, hey, these are the vehicle, this is what the staff could look like, this is the uniforms, this is the clients, this is the builders, and then reverse engineer from those goals.
Yeah, and that's in our org chart that we teach. The top two, the strategy is like the business owner and the general manager working, that is you at the moment. And so you've got to spend time doing this strategy, firstly defining what it is and then executing it. And a lot of the time we don't. We just, again, hope for the best. Let's work hard and hope one day I'll have a better life.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you zigzag because you don't actually know where you're going and you got no idea, so you can't self-correct when you're going off course. So I love that you got a lot out of that, and that's really important to understand where you're heading as well.
That was brilliant because, I've definitely just reacted for the longest time. And I've had a few little moments where it's nice to know that you can bet on yourself. You do have the capacity to pull these big days or get things over the line or just make stuff happen, but it's not sustainable in the long run. But also not having a destination. You're on this journey just going around a roundabout constantly. Yeah. And it's the same issues that keep popping up. Instead of going, no, actually we're going to target this work, we're going to build these relationships, we're going to have this set up, and this is the journey, and this is the destination. Yeah, cool. So I'm keen to really start implementing it.
Awesome. So what's some other things that came up yesterday that you really valued?
It was really nice to actually meet the coaches in person, have that human contact, that bit of connection, and also just some of the things that were said, looking back at the year, looking at some of the progress that's been made, just almost permission to go, hey, you're doing okay. Like things are implementing, things are actually starting to turn around in the direction. Here's some of your growth, Yeah. I think even to between yourself and Chantel, you've given me the permission to go, actually, as much as I love painting, my better months were when I focused on the business. I had an appendix operation and double hernia quite recently, and I couldn't work for a period of time. And it's like, how on earth was that the
best month?
The best months. Yeah. I was focused on the little things I maybe didn't feel confident about, the training I hadn't quite implemented, or the new hire I put on.
Yep.
But I hadn't actually reflected on the wins outside of the challenges and gone, oh, actually, I sat down and did the invoicing.
Yeah.
I did some pre-builds. I followed up leads. Yeah, actually, that month created the next 3 months of much better progress.
Yeah, and performance. Yeah,
definitely.
And that's what we talk about in the academy a lot, is the business owner doing any of the roles. Like, if, someone that's just starting out does every role. That they're the director, the general manager, the sales, marketing, the ops manager, the tradie on site, and the admin. So there's all the different roles you play, and no matter what role you are playing, you can guarantee you're pretty inefficient at any of them. So even for me, like, I know that I'm inefficient at any role I'm playing still. And, I've got lots of people working in our teams. So the reason is the business owner seems to have a 360 awareness and touch point on everything. And that's what creates the inefficiency. And so even when you do hire for below, it's so important that we hand over that responsibility to the people we've hired to do it. And I like to think of, and I wrote an article based off yesterday, not just you guys that came out, but someone else was direct messaging me saying, look, I've hired this Tyler. He's not performing well. I'm getting photos from the builder. Should I get rid of him and get someone else? Well, so that depends. Like, have you made it clear what a good job looks like for them? So it's almost like we hire these people and send them out hoping because you've got your ticket or you've done it for 5 years, you should know what you're doing. Yeah. But if that wasn't an expectation or a standard at the previous work, that doesn't mean they'll probably just do what they've always done, which is, probably a low quality job if it doesn't meet your standard. So we've got to think of ourselves as soon as we hire these people, start thinking of yourself as a coach to those people. And so the coach doesn't get on the field. The coach stands on the sideline and watches the plays, identifies opportunities to practice in training to upskill those people so that next competition we don't make those same mistakes. And that's where I feel business owners that get too busy and start doing everything lose the opportunity to be that high quality coach because they're on the field and they're in it. And they can't look at things objectively and they can't identify when there's opportunities to improve. And therefore the team just continues to do a bad job. So is that something that came up for you when we were speaking yesterday in terms of like how the impact maybe that you're having by still going out in the tools and falling behind on other responsibilities?
Yeah, definitely. That was made very obvious, and it's been a little bit of a tricky one. Just the setup of where I live and having one team based in the neighbouring town, and I've felt a lot of guilt that I'm not on the tools or I'm not working with that team and I'm training up this team. But then actually, shoving those feelings aside for a bit and looking at the results. The team I spent the time with initially has now completed 2 or 3 projects completely independent of me. And when I've gone and done the quality control and checked the systems that have been in place, it's like, geez, these boys paint better than me.
Yeah, there you go.
The system has worked. There's still things to train. There's still things to tweak, but it is working.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get this other team to that similar point so that I can step into other roles.
100%.
Yeah.
And then you've got those people that are doing the system now. There's opportunity potentially in the future for them to become trainers.
Definitely.
So as the opportunities open up, but it all starts with getting clear on what is the expectation. Like what is a good job? Like until we know that, like you can't measure them against anything.
Yeah.
So I always talk about the analogy of like it's like kicking a ball but not seeing if it goes through the goals. It's like you kick a goal for a goal, but you don't know where the goalposts are and you don't look to see if it goes through the goals. Well, how do you know if you got a goal? You don't.
Yeah.
So, it's interesting. We've got to have these systems in place, but also the business owner have the time to have the awareness, because if you don't have the awareness, you can't fix anything.
Yeah. And awareness was the word that kept coming up yesterday, and probably me saying it, but that's been one of the best things with the course and with the coaches is I only know what I know. I did a 4-year apprenticeship and then I traveled a bit, but a lot of the things that I'm now implementing or doing in my business, I haven't learned or I haven't been exposed to elsewhere. And just the ability to tap into people who are 10 steps ahead, happy to hold your hand, provide you with the resources and show you what your business could look like is just an incredible awareness that you don't get when you're just stuck on the tools doing the same thing you've always done.
Yeah.
You know, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yeah, 100%, man. No, I appreciate you sharing that. So let's talk a little bit more about business. What do you feel have been some of the most challenging times for you that you had to really work through as a business owner?
Yeah, recently, kind of in a way lost a year of my life recently, just because I've had this burst appendix. I went to go on a holiday and I was really excited because I had 3 guys at the time and it was going to be my first 2 weeks off since before COVID and everything was shaping up. And yeah, got to Lombok, the appendix burst, couldn't get a flight out, went septic, nearly died, 8 weeks.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Charlie Gardner. It was just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And I'd been with the course for a little while at that stage, but I had a long way to go. And even on site, no fault of the team, but the builder had supplied the wrong colours. So we got 3 weeks into a job before that was caught, which affected the schedule. And just coming back to work, I wanted to jump on the tools, but my health wasn't there. You know, I'm quite an active person. I couldn't surf. I couldn't do a lot of the things I loved. I tried going back into the gym, did a double hernia. So I just had all of these setbacks health-wise, which affected my personal capacity to do what I thought was the right moves in the business. I felt that I had to get back in there and get everything on track.
Yeah.
That was a massive challenge because all of a sudden I couldn't rely on myself the same way I had previously, and it really forced me to go, if I want to do this sustainably, I need to put systems in place. I need to hire people. This is bigger than me now.
Yeah. So what did you learn from that experience? Because obviously, as tragic as that was and as hard as it was to realize that this is probably the worst thing that could have ever happened ever, like, why is this happening to me sort of feeling, what were the lessons that came out of it that you probably wouldn't have learned if it didn't happen?
Yeah. Learning to train, trust, and hand over responsibility, and being realistic. Like, at times there are going to be fires. The boys are going to miss the mark. Things will take a little bit longer. There's certain systems you can put in place to try and schedule or allow for that. But overall, don't worry about things that haven't happened yet. Just focus on what is in your control. What system can I build? How can I train? Who do I hire? How can I get myself out of this instead of it relying solely on me to fix everything? Because I have the same amount of time as everyone else in a day. My focus in the business is different to people who are hired to paint. Like, when you look at the org chart, and that's actually something I will go back and show my staff, go, you know, not being negative or anything like that, but this is your list of responsibilities inside the company. These are all of mine. And even just talking to one of my supervisors last night, he said something, just the way he said it, it was like, you're primarily responsible for how I pay my mortgage. You need to focus on making sure the payroll, the admin, the invoicing, the quotes, the jobs are profitable, because I rely on you for my mortgage.
That's right.
Yeah, geez, okay. What was the point in hiring painters if I'm still painting?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's those times where when you get into that role and you're back on the tools and you're painting again, that you fall behind on everything else that has the systematic impact down the line. So,
and it's a struggle because I didn't initially start this with huge ambitions of money or this, that, and the other. Like, I just really enjoy painting.
Yeah.
It's just really, you put your podcast on or your music, you get in the flow state. It's a wonderful industry to be part of.
Yeah.
Learning laptops, software is like, I'm getting better, but I'm not a screen person. I run from it. But now as I get more exposure and create better habits and routines, and especially with the course, knowing who to call, how to get the help I need, not being alone, figuring things out and yelling at Siri, I'm really starting to enjoy the actual growth of becoming a boss.
Yeah, cool, man. And do you know what? I was the same. I loved getting on the tools. I love the interaction of people. And I think most tradies out there that get into business do miss that. You know, you miss that when you do make that line in the sand where it's like, I'm not going on the tools anymore. And we find a lot of trade business owners get lost. Like they don't actually feel fulfilled in doing admin and doing invoices and doing quotes. Because while it might be a little bit exciting for a week, while you're sending out lots of invoices and collecting lots of money, you're doing that week in, week out, and you just sort of lose, well, I remember losing a lot of my motivation and purpose. Yeah. And so, you know, building a team, what's really exciting is by building a team, everyone has their role to play in that system. And by handing over those responsibilities that us as tradies aren't that good at, like admin, like data, like being organized, in document control and reading. Like I actually think about reading all the time. It's like when we finish high school, we actually don't read unless you're a reader, but you don't read anything anymore until you're like ever. Yeah. You don't read books. You don't have to read documents. You know, specifications maybe, but like there's, you know, you're reading plans and you know, maybe a little info sheet, but it's not proper reading. And I remember I lost my skill to read. And when we had my daughter Grace, I remember sitting in bed with her trying to read a one sentence a page book, like struggling. But anyway, I come back and talk through like, these are the skills that we left school to avoid. You know, we went out to become tradies because we like using our hands. And that's why I found something to really fulfill myself. But I'll share in a second, but I'd love to hear what you've started to do for yourself, or what do you have to continue that fulfillment? You know, if you have to do that ops management and admin stuff, what do you really love, maybe outside of work, or what gives you that fulfillment? Yeah,
I'm now getting back on track with my health. So I've had my operations 3 months ago now. And it's awesome because it's like being 18 again, and creating the routines, kind of approaching health from a different perspective now. I've been training for a marathon. I come from a family of short, fat Italians. None of us have ever run except to the fridge. Yeah. So that's been a fun journey, falling in love with the process of just seeing what the mind can do, and two, if the body can keep up. Yeah. But I'm really excited to get back into my community with spearfishing. I love freediving, just being in the ocean, surfing. So outside of work, there's a lot of social fulfillment in where I live as well. It's an amazing community. I've got the opportunity to, as I buy back my own time, to do painting projects. So I love doing up cars, mates' boats. We've got a shed, we've set up a spray booth, and it's not something that I'm relying on for my income. It's somewhere I can learn new skills. There's not a builder yelling at me to get it done, or you know, there's not the same
passion projects.
Yeah, and it's just a new skill set, shared with your mates. Yeah, it gives me fulfillment, and it's almost a reward when you set the little goals of, okay, I'm going to achieve X, Y, Z today in the office, and then I'm still going to go and do the thing I love. But it doesn't matter.
There's no deadlines.
It's not the same pressure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I remember, you know, giving up music, and I gave up sport, and having to reconnect with those things and come back to competition in sport, and also like just regular practice in music. And that's like with singing and guitar, like I was a singer-songwriter, and learning to come back to that. I forgot how to play guitar. Like it's like 6-7 years I didn't play a single day of playing guitar because I was so busy, consumed by the business. And so, you know, relearning that and coming back to that and finding a way to blend business with music, which is like the parodies for response and stuff, has been really fun. That's been a fun project. So, it's really cool, man. And we've all got our things. We actually posted in the academy the other day, what do you do outside of work on the weekends? And Fucking hell, there's some cool people, eh?
Yeah, yeah. It's like someone upside down on a motorbike. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's pretty epic.
Yeah. All sorts of cool things.
And even if I can jump back in on that, just having that last year with health and everything, and especially I did throw myself into work, but could have had more direction, could have actioned things, kind of threw myself into the tools because that's what I physically could do. I couldn't surf. I did a double hernia at the gym. Like, I just couldn't do the things I loved. So it gave me a real awareness of like, if I don't take control of where my business is at and make the business work for me, if I work for the business, this is what my life looks like. I'm out of shape. I don't have as good as social relationships and time. I can't pursue my hobbies because I'm always at work. Like, if I don't take control of this soon, these are all the aspects of my life that I'm going to miss out on. Do I want that for the next 20, 30 years?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What do I have to do now to start creating the life I want?
Yeah. And that's so awesome, like, to think like that. And a lot of people don't get that wake-up call, you know, to do it. And if we do start planning early, like I was lucky enough to have a mentor that helped me to see that you need to start now while you don't have kids if you want to have that freedom when you do have kids. So I was able to start early and make a heap of mistakes and be ready for and you know, not be consumed while I had kids, which makes it a lot harder.
Yeah.
It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder. And so, you know, those are the things that, you know, if we can forward plan and really think, like, what if I get injured? What if I get sick? You know, what if I have a car accident? What happens, like, to the business? Can my partner support it? Can, like, one of my tradies support it? Like, what's the contingency plan? And what is the succession plan as well? Like, who's taking over this business? Who's running it if I'm not running it?
Yeah.
I think thinking like that, and why we do these little milestone holiday, like, challenges for the members, is so that you can practice letting responsibility go and seeing what happens. You know, let it break for 2 weeks and see what happens. And when you do, you realise, like, oh, I've got to fix these systems. I need someone there. I need someone there.
And I suppose for myself, there's been this certain guilt with that whole getting off the tools and, I'll never be that sort of boss. I'll always be with the boys. But when I looked at the culture and the vision for my business, it was all about sustainability. Like, I'm a young person. I've got hopefully a long time in this career. So I need to make steps now so that it is sustainable. And if I'm on the tools all of the time, am I putting enough money back into the business so that if we have a quiet spell, I can keep everyone on? Am I tracking the profits so that we can buy more cars or do more training or have better safety? Like, if I'm not focused on these other aspects of the sustainability of the business, hiring someone else so that if I am injured, they can sub in for me, or at the moment it relies solely on me.
Yeah.
I'm one person. I could have a car accident. I suppose I haven't got appendix anymore.
You've already had the what if situation.
Yeah, and I've seen how hard that is, and even the stress that did create for the staff, because they don't know what's going to happen either. And we were fortunate to have some things in place, but we're a lot further ahead now. So it really is, if you care about your staff too, it's an investment in their future to work on the business, because that's not what you've hired them to do. That's your vision, your role. They're there to do the thing.
Yeah.
You need to do the other things.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's
Love
learning.
That.
Yeah.
Love that, man.
Giving yourself the permission to do what you need to do.
Yeah.
Not what you necessarily feel you should or want to.
Yeah. Love it, man.
So I owe that to you and Chantel. So thank you very much for that lesson.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Giving me the permission.
There's plenty more we've got to teach as well. So
Thank
looking forward to the future, and I appreciate you coming out. And this has been an awesome chat, and I'm sure a heap of the members listening will be reaching out and thanking you for a lot of insight that you've provided, and keep crushing it, man. Can't wait to see what you do next.
Yep.
I know your vision. It's going to be good.
Yep. Can't wait. Thank
Good
you,
on you,
mate. Appreciate it.
See you later. Hey guys, it's Greg here. Thanks for listening to the podcast. For me, growing my trade business was extremely hard. It cost me millions of dollars, so much time trying to figure out what was the right way to do business, and emotionally feeling like I'm letting myself, my partner, and my family down by not knowing how to run my business properly. But I kept working hard and overcame those challenges and created systems and solutions that minimize those mistakes for myself and my team as we grew. Now, Response Electricians, go and Google it. We've got over 1,700 reviews on Google. We've won awards like Electrician of the Year and Service Business of the Year, both state and nationally. I sat on the National Board of Directors for Master Electricians Australia for 2 years, created a real solid awareness of the industry and the construction industry and the challenges you face. And the business runs autonomously over in Perth while I live my life working on the academy in Byron Bay. And I help people like you create freedom from your business as well. Now, having coached and trained thousands of trade business owners, we've developed the Freedom Fighters program. It's a guided pathway in a hybrid training and coaching system that provides you with the right information and steps to take to create freedom, not in years, but now. You can actually create more freedom from your business sooner than you think. So click the link and have a free strategy session with one of our academy experts to fully understand how you can create more time freedom from your trade business, generating more profit, better culture, and more growth in less time.